Hi, my name is Niramit, and I'm here to refute Nathan's claim. Nathan claims that educating the public on gun safety will decrease the number of accidental deaths and injuries caused by the misuse of guns, and that programs such as Eddie Eagle's gun safety programs help children avoid firearms. I refute his claim by first saying that studies have shown that children do not retain these information presented to them in these programs. That even if they have taken a gun safety program, children's curiosity will overcome the program's teaching and other warnings. And that secondly, programs such as the Eddie Eagles program shows no actual evidence of success. So firstly, children are children. So they do not understand the severity and consequences a firearm can cause. Their prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that controls your inhibitions, are still in development. So when told not to do something, they're typically just going to ignore it and just do what they want. A 2018 studies from Rutgers University states that none of the strategies presented in these programs are effective over time with young children. Evidence shows that gun safety education for children's ages 4 to 9, the information doesn't stick. Even children who initially follow the rules after the training did not use their safety skills. They learn weeks later when placed in a room with a non-functional gun. The forbidden sense in the allure of a firearm overcomes the teachings that these programs provide due to the curious natures of children. Children are in the development stage, as stated, with their prefrontal cortex, meaning they grow up by interacting with their surroundings. So when told not to touch something, it will more likely cause them to interact with said item. Another study by Marjorie Sanfilippo, a professor of psychology and associate dean of faculty at Eckerd College in Florida, placed children in a more realistic scenario using a classroom and hidden cameras. She states that we educated the children about the danger of guns and told them to get help from an adult if they ever saw one. The children knew what to do. They repeated the mantra again and again, but then a few days later, we returned and placed a handgun in a backpack in the classroom and rifles outside on the ground outside. Through the hidden cameras, we watched, nothing changed. Children still picked up the gun, still shot each other, and they still did so after saying out loud, "Stop, don't touch, leave the area, get an adult." As shown even with directions and other warnings to avoid firearms, children still play with the guns. They can't be trusted to follow these programs. Another flaw in the speech was that there is no actual data proof of success in preventing children from playing with these guns. A study authored by Patricia K. Howard, Enterprise Director of Emergency Services for UK Healthcare, states that outcome measures on the effectiveness of the Eddie Eagle program are limited to anecdotal testimonials. We really do not know if current gun safety programs make a difference and what that difference might be, because unfortunately we do not have a measurable outcome criteria. Anecdotes are not concrete data, and without a way to evaluate these children after going through with these programs, we cannot say that these gun safety programs heavily impact these children's decision makings. The NRA also provided other evidence to support the effectiveness of Eddie Eagle's programs, but they fall short. They state that fatal firearm accidents in the Eddie Eagle age group have been reduced by more than 80% since the program's nationwide launch. But children's firearm injuries are difficult to accurately track, and fatalities alone aren't the best way to measure this instance, since medical advancement have led to better survival rates, and those who have been involved in firearm accidents are usually left with lifetime disabilities. Every other evidence provided by the NRA falls under the same fire as the program itself, since there's no concrete data, just more anecdotal testimonials. An effective gun accident program, the prevention program, must prevent children from interacting with firearms, but with the information presented, we can see all these warnings and lessons are going in one ear, not the other. Children are children, and there's no certainty how they will react in serious situations, even if they are put through prevention programs. And that's my speech.
All right, well, the preview of the advocate's argument is very clear. You get to that first point and basically suggest that there's no evidence that shows that there's an effectiveness to these programs because you've got a study that shows that they are in fact ineffective. And I thought that you did a good job presenting and explaining the research that was done that showed why it's problematic. In part, your argument is based on the way kids function, and there's this whole discussion of the prefrontal lobe and how the forbidden thing it makes the guns alluring to them, and there's kind of an explanation about how that works. And that all sounds reasonable, but the thing that sells it is the research that follows up, which shows that the kids, after they'd been trained, been told what to do, they continued to be engaged in the behaviors that are particularly dangerous in that particular study. So that, I think, does a good job at undermining the claim that the advocate's presenting on the first point. The second point is mostly about whether or not we can trust the data that is pointing in the direction of success. You give some explanation about why that data is not particularly reliable. I'm not exactly sure that I go with this argument on this, the notion that, well, they don't track these things in a particular way, or for instance, with medical technology, people survive more, so we can't just use deaths as a way of measuring this. Well, unless the medical technology changed from year to year, it seems to me like the number decline would be meaningful in some way. That seems like it's kind of a cop-out answer on that argument. The argument about the NRA data being a little bit problematic and it's mostly anecdotal, I think we're back to the same issue. The response evidence that you're presenting also suggests some anecdotal information. I think if you went back up to that first point and reminded us of the study research that you saw, that it's likely that there's some other explanation as to why there was a decline in these particular places, and that maybe in fact there is a problem with the way the data is gathered, although I think you need better proof on that. But your arguments are directly connected to the issues that the advocate presented, and I thought you did a pretty good job explaining them as best you could. All right, thank you.